Event 6 inside Dickies Arena at Fort Worth, Texas. We are crowning champions at the 2024 CrossFit Games today. Alongside a champion at the CrossFit Games, Annie Sakamoto. My name is Joel Godette. Lauren Smith, our eyes and ears down on the floor. Yesterday was a day that shook up the standings quite a bit. Peak 360, that team of Noah Olson, Lena Richter, Matilda Garnis, and Tola Maracanio started slow. 9th, 15th, and 9th on day one in 3 events. Yesterday pulls out an event win here when Lena Richter was the only person to push her team across the finish line in event 4. Then a 3rd place finish in event 5. Only thing is that Raw Iron Mayhem Thunder also did really well on event 5. 12-10-64 for the victory, and they put themselves in first place wearing the leader's jersey. For Cara Saunders, her first time in that white leader's jersey since 2015. A combined 22 games appearances previous, 1 podium in the history of the Raw Iron team, looking to change that today. All right, the task in front of them, we're going to do some lunging, we're going to do some gymnastics, Annie Sakamoto.
That's right. These teams are going to start with a 30-foot earthworm lunge, and then 2 athletes will do synchronized chest-to-bar pull-ups while the other 2 athletes go for a little run. They'll switch, and then they'll go back to that earthworm and lunge at another 30 feet. 20 toes to bar and another run for each of those athletes. They'll return to the earthworm for another 30-foot lunge, and then this time 15 bar muscle-ups and a run for all 4 athletes, and they'll finish with a 30-foot earthworm lunge to the finish line. Time cap of 14 minutes, and as we saw in the heat previous, it's extremely unnecessary.
Steps to success, pushing the run is critical?
Pushing the run, although the run was a little bit shorter than I thought it was going to be. So I think you have to stay on it on the run. It times well with the gymnastics. And then staying in step on that earthworm lunge. It's a lot of lunges, and there's a lot of area where you could misstep and kind of hurt things for your team. So stay in step.
10 teams in this final heat. They are your top 10 teams in the competition. Top teams are in the middle of the floor. Raw Iron, CrossFit Mayhem Thunder in lane 5. The original CrossFit Mayhem out of Cookeville, Tennessee in lane 4, and CrossFit Torian Mayhem is in lane 6. Those 2 Aussie teams trying to be the first Australian teams on the podium in CrossFit Games history.
Yeah, and that Raw Iron team has had all top 5 finishes so far. So shame on us for them flying under the radar a little bit going into this competition.
Again, 22 combined games appearances coming in. 1 previous podium, that belongs to Cara Saunders in the back. First time she has worn the leader's jersey since Murph back in 2015. First time that James Newberry's actually worn the jersey, although he technically had it back in 2019. There was a scoring mix-up. And then peak 360, 32 points out. There's 5 points between placings.
Right.
Let's go down to Lauren Smith for more on Invictus, the defending champs.
Thanks, Joel. I was with the Invictus team around the back in warm-up, and they were watching the previous heat. And Joshua Chalmers said that it was so much faster than they anticipated. So they've adapted their strategy just a little bit. What they did say is a big part of that is going to be sprinting the transitions to make up as much time as possible. Not just that the worm is becoming more and more familiar to them because they've used it more and more, but they still don't get a chance to warm up on it. So fingers crossed for a big performance from them today.
Lauren, thank you. 105 points off the podium, and again, 5 points between placings with a 20-team field. It's not impossible, but they're going to need a lot of help.
Oh, and you just saw your leaders right there. Raw Iron have to go back. They had a no rep on one of their lunge steps.
And a no rep just issued to Oslo Krieger Blast as well, and Invictus. As teams start to head out on the 200-meter run, these can be done in any pairs. You just need 2 people running and 2 people doing synchronized gymnastics movements.
Exactly. 25 chest-to-bar pull-ups for most of these athletes should be pretty quick. But the run is a little shorter than I expected, so it seems to be timing really well with this gymnastics element. You can see a lot of the runners actually coming in sooner.
James Newberry and Con Porter dropping off of the bar, and they'll switch out for Emily DeRoy and Cara Saunders in the red leaders uniform.
CrossFit Mayhem having to wait for the last rep there.
These teams looking very solid already just on the chest bar portion. All the action done quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Time to beat from the opening heat, 6 minutes and 48 seconds.
That was set by Invictus Unconquerable, and then Raw Iron and Torian, the two Aussie teams, back to the Earthworm at the same time. I'm pretty sure Raw Iron's gonna have to step back behind, that yellow line before they start the lunges on the left side.
The 16-point difference between these teams with Raw Iron in front. It takes a little bit of guts to win the CrossFit Games. You gotta go for it at some point. And the thing Con Porter told us leading up to the games this year, everybody on that team in the red has a little, this is an Australian turn of phrase, a little mongrel in them. Situations like this, the mongrel's got to come out.
The mongrel's got to come out, and you just got to fang it. You can see Cara and Emily, Marnie, all the Aussies out on that run, all the lady Aussies.
Should also note you don't have to run together, because Cara Saunders is just saying, I'll see you back at the ring.
See you at the bar, Emily.
Anthony DeChico trying to make a move on the inside for CrossFit Mayhem, currently in third. Cara Saunders, though, all alone. She will get a chance to catch her breath here as she gets back, waiting for Con Porter and James Newberry.
With the progress of your team.
We are on toes to bar, 20 reps for each athlete.
And it was actually CrossFit Torian that came off the bar and back into the run right before Raw Iron.
And then go to another 30-foot lunge segment. And then bar muscle-ups will be the movement off the ring.
The ladies in the gray top. Striving to be honest and keep that pressure on.
4 more reps for Raw Iron Thunder. 4 more reps now for Torian. Finished first out at Farrington Field in event number 3, the Farrington 5.
With Peak 360.
Peak 360 has now joined the Aussie bunch that leads us out.
450 pounds on that Earthworm. For reference, 100 pounds. It's basically like putting a fully grown Bernese mountain dog on your shoulder and lunging here.
Yep.
You got one of those at home?
I do not.
I don't recommend that.
I have a 15-pound Australian Shepherd at home, so I'd rather do that.
Earthworm is down. Now, interesting, you're going to have to back that Earthworm up a little bit. It's too far forward from where Raw Iron dropped it. So a couple of seconds that they'll have to account for when they get back to their final lunges.
But Raw Iron has done that every time thus far. As soon as they pick it up, Con just takes 2 steps back and they're ready to go. And it's the gentlemen who are starting the bar muscle-ups for both Torian and Raw Iron. Funny, I almost would have expected the ladies to go first here. You can see with Peak 360, Matilda and Noah, so they're doing more of a male-female pairing, where the 2 Aussie teams are doing male-male, female-female.
And you could see Noah Olson put his hand on Matilda Garnis's back to say, let's go.
Yep.
They know the task at hand. They're 30-plus points off the podium. That's not easy to make up.
Nope.
They need to put distance between themselves and, first and foremost, CrossFit Mayhem.
Exactly. Not only do they need to do well, they need a few teams, like you said, Joel, to finish after them and before Mayhem. It was actually Royce Dunn and Jack Jeffrey that were off the bar first for CrossFit Torian, and they have their ladies on the bar.
And we get the switch. Cara Saunders, a slight miss. But the gentlemen are outrunning now for Raw Iron. These have to be synchronized at the top. So you've just got to wait for your teammate to arrive.
You can see Marnie Sykes kind of employing that almost butterfly kick with her legs to get on top.
And Christy Hollard missed. Marnie Sykes came back down, so she's going to have to do an additional rep. Time to beat. Coming in hot. 6 minutes and 48 seconds.
And it's Peak 360 that makes their move on those bar muscle-ups.
Here comes Noah Olson, 30 more feet of a lunge. Peak 360 is made up of a team of 3 people that have come in second at the CrossFit Games. They came here with distinct goals of winning. They're doing everything they can. Time to beat coming up in 28 seconds. 8th Day has arrived.
Big move from 8th Day.
A true affiliate team. Peak 360, the super of super teams, wins the event in 6:37.
That is exactly what Peak 360 needed if they're going to move onto the podium. Trying to make up, like you said, 32 points on CrossFit Mayhem. And this is the other thing they need. They need teams like 8th Day coming in between them and Mayhem. So that's huge for them that 8th Day just finished.
8th Day finishing. That is the first team to win multiple times, by the way, this year at the Games. Peak 360.
Einhorn just came in right ahead of both Aussie teams, Raw Iron and Torian. CrossFit Invictus was somewhere in that mix.
And CrossFit Mayhem is still all the way back at the rig.
CrossFit Reignited putting a time of 7:15.
You're looking at Reignited. They've just got no reps. But you've got Krieger Blast.
On the lunges, they're in lane number 3.
And Invictus still doing work. This is not good for Mayhem. Excuse
No.
me, Mayhem, not
exactly.
Invictus.
CrossFit Mayhem is still on the bar doing their bar muscle-ups. They are the only team on the floor.
And here comes Mayhem. Points evaporating because you've got to start factoring in times from Heat 1 as
Exactly.
well. 30 feet of a lunge. The lead for Mayhem was 32 points on the podium. They were only 20 points out of second. That's been ripped out of their grasp.
Sam DeMeester letting him know they only have 2 more lunge steps left.
And now Mayhem is done in 8 minutes and 30 seconds, but those are costly 8 minutes and 30 seconds. We will likely see some sort of shuffling. Peak 360 desperately hoping for it.
Second event win for them this weekend. They picked up a little momentum, I would say, yesterday with those freestanding handstand push-ups, trying to propel them up onto the podium.
All your teams here taking on team event number 6.
This was an exciting race from the start. A lot of really good teams in this second heat right here. You can see them almost synchronized lunging right there. And Mayhem was out early on that run, but it was the 2 Aussie teams that made it back to the Earthworm first, and it seems like that's where the race was going to be. We saw Torian, CrossFit, and Raw Iron kind of going neck and neck through the first part of that workout. Raw Iron able to edge out Torian just a hair, but it was Peak 360 and those bar muscle-ups that enabled them to pull ahead. They were the only team back to the Earthworm before any other team was even off of the pull-up bar. They had finished the last 30-foot increment of lunges. They get themselves 100 much-needed points when staring at that podium. 5
points between each spot. Mayhem is not in the top 10. Peak 360 is first. I'm not good at math, but I know this much. Peak 360 will be in podium position heading into our next event, and they are with Lauren Smith.